What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am back. You know what? I'm not even going to say the name of the channel because I think the jury is actually in. I asked yesterday if everyone thought I should change the channel name to just a guy on his lunch break, and I only got 3 people that responded to that specific question, and all 3 of them said, yeah, I think that sounds good. I think that's catchy. So with that, I think I'm going to change the name. I went to do it last night, and I can't do it for another 9 days. YouTube has some very interesting rules, and encompassed within their algorithm that they only allow you to change it every so often. And I told you guys I actually changed it a couple of days ago just to kind of see what it would look like, what the feel of the page was if you clicked on it and it was just a guy on his lunch break. But then I changed it back, almost immediately. So that's 2 changes within less than a 24-hour period. So I guess they've blocked me from changing it again for another 9 days. So yeah, so that's coming in the next week sometime. I guess I'll be able to go ahead and change the name officially to just a guy on his lunch break. I think it's catchy because I do all these videos on my lunch break, right? I also had one guy say, listen, I listen to you guys. I do. I listen to you guys. I also have one guy say, man, I really love your channel, but I wish you'd take those glasses off sometime to show respect. And I thought, well, I've certainly never said or done anything on here that has come across as a sign of disrespect to anyone. I know that for a fact. But a lot of people feel that way. And a lot of people, my father is one of those people. Like, I watch MMA fights and stuff. And these fighters will be sitting in the press conference before the fights, and every once in a blue moon my dad and mom will come over, and it'll be on a Saturday, and my son and I will be watching a UFC or watching a press conference, and the fighters are sitting up there in the press conference with sunglasses on, and my dad always makes the comment like, why don't they take the sunglasses off? Why are they sitting there in sunglasses when they're inside a building? And I'm explaining to him like, Dad, it's just an entertainment thing. It's a promotional thing. Well, in my defense, I am somewhat outside. People do actually wear sunglasses when they're driving in their car. Furthermore, I had LASIK surgery done about probably 20 years ago now. And ever since I had LASIK surgery done, my eyes are somewhat sensitive to light. So, I'm one of those people that when it gets too bright outside, I kind of start squinting and doing all that. But with that said, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to take my sunglasses off. I'm not saying don't get too happy. I'm not saying I'm going to do this every time, but I'm going to look right into the camera. I'm not disrespecting anybody. It just gets a little bright out here sometimes, but I'm going to try to do this video with the sunglasses off. So I got a million things that I want to talk to you guys about, and I have all these things that pop up, that I jot down, that I turn around and I'm like, man, I wish I could talk to them about this. And so I write down all these little things, and then I just expand on them. That's basically what I do on this channel. So listen, I'm almost to 300 subscribers. Listen, I'm not on here trying to promote myself for any reason other than I just want to help people. And, if it can become eventually one of those things where it can be self-sustaining or I can make some money off of it, I mean, why would I be mad about that? Why would anybody be mad about that? I am spending, what's 30 hour, 2 hours, 2.5. I'm spending 2.5 hours plus time commenting to people and stuff like that on these videos every week. I mean, that's fair, but my purpose in wanting to expand the channel is way more to do with the fact that I just don't like seeing people under ball and chain, man. And 6 days off of KRATOM now. I slept pretty well last night. I did take a little kava, but I slept pretty well. My mood is starting to really pick up. I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to look back and be like, now, why the hell did I ever take that KRATOM? It was keeping me in a massive pinch you know, as far as my mood and the expansion of my personality and all those things. And I'm starting to kind of be able to see that now. I know in terms of long-term recovery, I'm not anywhere close to out of the woods, so I'm not saying that. But I just don't like seeing people stuck. And it's one of those things where while you're in it, you don't even realize how stuck you are. You think you just, I don't know why I'm so happy. I don't know why I'm so unhappy. I don't know why I'm so depressed. Or you get locked into this vicious cycle where when you're taking, you're okay. But you have to continue taking on a regular, ongoing basis in order to maintain that feeling okay. And you get locked into this ball and chain situation where when you go to stop, there is no stopping. There is no stopping and feeling yourself. There is no stopping and feeling uplifted in your mood, you know, and seeing the world naturally for what it is, and just being able to walk through the woods or walk through your neighborhood and, you know, feel the breeze hitting you and just be like, wow, this is enjoyable. You know, there is none of that when you're in that, you know, vicious cycle with kratom and you're in the interdose withdrawals in between when you dose and stuff like that. So a lot of people out there are okay with where they are, and I'm not campaigning against kratom, and I think it serves a purpose for a lot of people. If you're a person that needs to use it to come off of something major in terms of fentanyl, heroin, something like that, kratom obviously is a better option, and I don't mind seeing people come off of it for that. But if you're a person who is not currently on drugs, on heavier drugs, and you want to use something like kratom just for a buzz, and especially if you have a background with abusing substances, I wouldn't go there, bro. I wouldn't go there. If you've ended up on my channel, for a lot of you, it's too late. You've already been there, right? Just like me, you've already been there. And I'm just trying to give you guys a blueprint. That's all I'm trying to do on here. Just give you a blueprint, show you that it can be done if you do it in a way that is methodical and you accept the fact that it's taking you some time to get yourself into it. So you're gonna have to pay the piper now to get yourself out of it. It's not gonna be smooth sailing for most people. And even if you go see a doctor and you take all the right supplements and you do all the right things and you get out pretty unscathed physically, you still got to pay the piper mentally and emotionally, with time, with seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, right? That's why I'm here. Almost to 300 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this sort of transparency with which I do this channel. And with that, I'm going to move on. So there was something, I did a response yesterday to a gentleman, a guy out of Texas who's been listening to the channel recently. And there was one part of his comment that I did not address yesterday, and I wanted to make sure that I addressed that part of the comment, because he mentioned about his being addicted to kratom, and he made the comment, but I'm also addicted to sugar and caffeine. And that gave me somewhat of a chuckle, and the reason is because he sounded just like me a couple of months ago. I actually made a video a while back and was trying to illustrate the parallels between, you know, some people that I work with, by example, that I drink tons of, you know, sodas and sugar every day. There's a guy there drinks nothing but coffee, just one after another all day. Anytime you walk into his office, you can see a fresh cup of coffee sitting on his desk. That's what he drinks. He doesn't drink water. His water comes from coffee, right? And was trying to draw those parallels, but then one of my subscribers jumped on and he kind of corrected me in a way, and he was like, I see where you're going with that, but, and you know, he mentioned some things to me that, you know, I think I was at that point in my addiction where I was trying to figure out ways and reasons to justify my addiction, right? that's what I was doing at that time. And that's the reason I was making those parallels, because I was like, I mean, I might take kratom, but I'm super freaking healthy. Look at me. I'm thin. You know, I got people that I work with that drink sodas all day and their bellies are out to here. They're obviously not healthy, you know. And then there's people that, I got people there that chew snuff and have been chewing snuff for 30 years. And, you know, and these people are Christians, you know. So it's one of those things where an addiction is an addiction, right? I just want to read a couple things to you. For a drug to be considered addictive, it must activate the brain's reward circuit. Caffeine, like addictive drugs, enhances dopamine signaling in the brain, but not enough to activate the brain's reward circuit like addictive substances like cocaine, morphine, opium, and nicotine. Caffeine is a stimulant to the central nervous system, and regular use of caffeine does cause mild physical dependence, but caffeine doesn't threaten your physical, social, and economic health the way other harder addictive drugs do. So, by example, compare your monthly spending on coffee to your monthly spending on kratom. And I talked about how I don't want to take credit for this one, because it was actually one of my subscribers that mentioned this. He said someone with a caffeine addiction probably wouldn't be sourcing caffeine. If they were going out of town, they probably wouldn't be sourcing caffeine or stocking up on their caffeine supply before going out of town to make sure that they don't run out of caffeine during their trip. That's a good point. That's a good point, you know, because in my highest, you know, kratom use, I absolutely would have needed to make sure that I had that with me at all times. Otherwise, the interdose withdrawals from something like kratom are by far more intense than sugar and caffeine. And not only that, but, you know, when I was addicted to pain pills back in the day, I did some things for painkillers that I would never in a million years do for caffeine, that I would never in a million years do for sugar. Which, listen, I don't drink a lot of sugar I don't eat or intake a lot of sugar, whether it be through drinks or through food. I don't intake a lot of sugar anyway. I was always one of those people that even when I was using kratom, I was super, super healthy otherwise, right? And that was always kind of my justification for it. It didn't matter. It didn't help. I was absolutely addicted in a major way, and I would have done things for kratom that I never would have done for caffeine or for sugar or for any other drug, really, to be honest with you. It says here, opiate addiction is one of a different animal, even being placed above cocaine, alcohol, marijuana, and meth in terms of how hard it is to break the addiction. Again, I keep it real on here. You know, there are people that have to take it, whether it be for chronic pain, you know, depression or anxiety, whatever it is. But as far as the depression or anxiety piece, I touched on this a little bit yesterday. If you've been abusing some sort of opiate for the last 10, 15, 20 years of your life, like a lot of people, a lot of kratom users out there have been, and then you claim to have depression, stress, and anxiety disorder, I'm probably not buying it, because I've been there. It's not my first time to the rodeo. I've been there. I've done that. And I know 1,000% sure that most of the depression, stress, and anxiety that I felt throughout all of my drug addiction was completely self-inflicted. I was causing that by being stuck on this roller coaster, running that marathon with that ball and chain attached to me, the interdose withdrawals, feeling like shit whenever you didn't have it, and feeling like you had to have it to not feel like shit. Been there, done that. And I know a lot of you guys out there, you know, most of the people on this channel, you know where you're at. You've admitted it. You kind of know that it's a slippery slope for you, or that you've completely slipped down the slope and fallen off the cliff. You know, it's a lot of you are there. and you're still working through your own methods, through your own processes to try to get where you need to be with it. But there are people out there who haven't really come to a full admittal. Damn, I love to make up words on this channel. That's probably not a word. They haven't admitted fully that is admittal a word? I'll look that up later. Probably not. I'm probably making that shit up. But oh man. Damn, these things go off the rails, don't they? You guys seem to like it. I don't know. Anyway, so there are people out there that hadn't fully admitted it. So while I see where you're going with the, well, I'm also addicted to caffeine and sugar. What's the big deal? Can't really compare the two. They're not really one and the same, and you can see that just by considering the parallels between use and finances. I'm guaranteeing that you spend more money every week or every month on KRATOM products than you do coffee or than you do caffeine, right? Well, there's a reason for that. KRATOM is not necessarily more expensive than coffee is. Well, coffee or caffeine in general. It's not that it's even that much more expensive. It's that you use it more because you feel like you need it more, because the intradose withdrawals when you're not taking KRATOM are far worse than are any sort of intradose withdrawals with caffeine or sugar or whatever. Now, again, I don't drink a lot of caffeine. A couple of cups of coffee per day. And I don't intake a lot of sugar either. So I'm not at all, speaking from a platform of, well, sugar and caffeine are okay, because they're definitely a problem for a lot of people. But you can't compare that problem to a problem of something that has an opiate type effect. 1000% of the time, the opiate is going to be far worse in terms of the way it affects people in their physical lives, their social lives, and just their mental health in general. The opiate-like substance is always going to be far worse, and people have done far worse things for ages, for centuries, for opiates than they ever have for caffeine and for sugar. And that's all I have to say about that. So for anybody out there that is having trouble staying positive in their life, there are some things that I want to point out to you. Hate breeds more hate. Love breeds more love. Negativity breeds more, negativity. Positivity breeds what? More positivity. So somebody out there needs to hear that. And just like when you exercise, that's a struggle and it's uncomfortable to you, right? But your body's response to that is what? Stronger muscles. It sucks while you're doing it. Intrinsically, exercise itself is not fun, right? It sucks while you're doing it. It's hard while you're doing it. But your body's response to that is to what? Get stronger. So if you're looking to come off of something like KRATOM and you're using every reason, it's too hard, it hurts, I feel like shit, I feel like I'm getting a cold when I come off of it, and my body aches, and I'm depressed, and I just don't have any mood, and blah 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 blah. Look, growth through struggle. You want to get stronger in life? Put yourself through it. Stop being a pansy and understand that you have put yourself in that situation. It has taken you time to put yourself in that situation, I'm sorry, I gotta put my glasses back on because I'm squinting too much. You have put yourself in that situation. So it's gonna take you some time to get out of the situation, right? So you have to challenge your mind, push through, prevail through emotional and mental struggles with a mind of clarity. And if you do that, what do you think your mind's response and your mental response and your emotional response to that is going to be, based on the exercise analogy and your muscles? Exactly. Your mind will become stronger. Your emotions will be more intact. And, you know, it will literally strengthen you for the next challenge. Growth through struggle. Without struggle, there is no growth. Without being uncomfortable, there is no growth in your life. You need to embrace those hardships and embrace those struggles as a means to an end of you being better and stronger when you come out the other side of it. What does not, listen, there's a saying that is as old as time that goes like this: what does not kill you will make you stronger. Have you ever really stopped and thought about that? Thought about what it means? Have you ever really stopped and considered that statement? Or better yet, have you ever put it to practice? Have you ever used it to get somewhere better in life, to get over a hurdle in life? Have you? Give it a shot. Give it a shot. It is an absolutely real statement. I have experienced it. You know, there have been times in my life where I've experienced it. And, you know, being someone who is an addict, you know, I have let my guard down and I have slipped back into my old addict behaviors. But that's something that's part of me, but it's not me. And I can absolutely overcome it. And I know that I can absolutely overcome it. And all of you can overcome it. But you have to embrace the challenge. You have to embrace the suck. You have to understand that on the other side of meeting that challenge and accomplishing that challenge is what? Is strength. Okay? There's strength. There's perseverance. You know, there's the ability to adapt, achieve, overcome, all of those things on the other side. Okay? So I just wanted to kind of point that out to you guys. So I know things are getting real for me, and the reason I know they're getting real for me is because I had a dream about KRATOM last night. Okay? And believe it or not, you guys were in my dream. So I'm going to tell you about this dream. All right. So I don't know about you guys, but my dreams are always very like here and there, very wishy-washy. Like I'm here one minute and I'll walk up and I'll be, talking to someone and I'll turn around. Then when I turn back around, it's a completely different person. I mean, just random shit. That's my dreams are usually like that. Well, this one was not a whole lot different in the sense that it kind of jumped from scene to scene to scene to scene, and there was no real ebbs and flows of the dream, right? I think that's just the natural state of the unconscious mind when you're sleeping, right? So I dreamt that my wife and I got some kratom powder and that we mixed it with orange juice and I drank it. And I remember thinking after I drank it, like, damn, that's kind of disappointing. I mean, I broke my sobriety for that. Like, it wasn't even that good. I remember thinking that in the dream. And so that happened. And then at some point, a little later in the dream, I'm walking through this house, which it's not my house. Again, you know how dreams are. It's not my house. It's a house that I've never been in before. It looks completely different than what my actual home looks like. But I'm walking through this house and I'm looking for the kratom. And you know, dreams are just so random and sporadic. Like I've had dreams before where, you know, like I'm looking for my car and I'm in a city, like this big city, and I literally have no idea where my car is, and I'm just trying to get back to my car. And you know, there's a million cars. I have no idea where it is, what parking lot it's in, just, you know, and it's, I mean, this ain't no, you know, you walk into Walmart, right? This happens to me too, to be honest. You walk into Walmart and do your thing, you're not really thinking much about it, and then you walk back out, and then you kind of stand there for a second, like, where the hell did I park? You know, and then so you walk down one of the lanes, and then you realize, oh, it's not around here, and then you pull out your keys, you start, boop, boop, boop. Just hoping that you're close enough to your vehicle to where it's gonna, you know, you're gonna be able to connect with your key fob, you know, trying to unlock it. And this is far worse than that. You know, this is being out there in a big city and not even knowing which parking lot you're in, you know, or not even be able to find a parking lot. You know, that's the kind of dreams that I have. So this was not much different. So I started looking around in this house for this kratom, and I couldn't find it. I'm like, wait, we just had the kratom. You know, where's the kratom? We just had the kratom. And then as I was looking for it, like I remember starting to feel like, damn, you know, this is disappointing. I've been doing so well. And then I thought about you guys. In my dream, I thought about this channel that I've been doing on YouTube, and I thought, like, shit, like, what am I gonna tell them? I can't tell them that I've now done kratom, because that, you know, that makes me a liar of everything that I've been on here talking about and this and that. And then I tried to justify it. I was like, well, no, that's part of it. You know, relapse is part of it, this and that and the other. And then I actually had the thought. I had the quick thought. I was like, just, you know, just don't tell them. I mean, you could just get on there and act like you didn't, that you're still clean. And then immediately, even in my dream, as screwed up as dreams are, I had the thought of, nah, dude, you can't do that. You can't do that. You know, because you understand now that accountability, transparency, and honesty is the absolute number one most important thing in recovery. 1,000%. If you don't have that, then you do not have the foundation. You do not have the framework to be sober or to beat the addiction if you don't have the accountability piece, you know? And that's one thing that I've accepted at this point in my life. It took me a while. I'm 47. It took me a while. But that's one thing I've completely accepted, that I have to be 100% accountable, 100% honest, 100% transparency with you guys. This channel has to be my accountability mirror. Okay? And it is. And there's a lot of other people out there that are using this channel as their accountability mirror. For me, you know, this is my, you know, this and talking to people and sharing my stories and sharing where I'm at in my recovery and stuff. This is my hour-long meeting every day. It is. And, you know, some people may not agree with that method, you know, because there have been proven methods throughout a period of time that that work for people, and that's where the NA and the AA and all that stuff comes from. And I get that. If you're not able to do that, I think this is the second best way. And you know, I know that relapse is a part of drug addiction and a part of recovery. But you know, I can't look at it that way. You know, I can't do anything to give myself an excuse to go back to using kratom one more time. It may not be bad for some people. For me, it's an uphill battle. You know, it's an uphill battle that it's just constant and it never changes. And that about kratom will never change for me. And I've accepted that. anything that has an opiate-like effect on my body and on my mind is a dead-end street for this guy right here. All right, and I've accepted that. So 6 days off, feeling pretty good. Energy is starting to come back up. And I had a moment last night, and I wrote this down as well. A lot of times people will use stress and stressful moments to go back to using, and I had a moment yesterday afternoon. I got a 17-year-old son at home, right? And he's a typical teenager. He's a good kid. I'm very thankful that he is not interested in drugs. He doesn't drink. He's never done any of that, ever. And I don't want him to, right? Especially with my history. I don't want him to, so I'm thankful for that. But he's a typical teenager. He's at home for the summer. He's being lazy. He's sleeping past 12 o'clock every day. He's staying up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning, gaming with his friends across the country. Because, my son has an interesting history. Myself and his mom, who was my first marriage, we split up when he was just a young boy. And she ended up marrying a guy who was a Spanish citizen. And so they moved to Spain for about 5 years. So for about 5 years, I did not see my son in person. I only saw him like through FaceTime and stuff like that. I only saw him in person like once or twice in a 5-year period. That was horrible for me as a father, but it was a good experience for him. He got to travel all around Europe. He lived, in Barcelona for a good while. He speaks Spanish and English both, so he's bilingual as a 17-year-old kid. But with that, he developed kind of this really shy, introverted sort of personality because he was in a country where he didn't even speak the native language, and he just kind of been pulled here and pulled there. And then he moved back to Miami for about a year after his stepfather was finished with school over in Spain, abroad. And so then he came back to the States, and then, he when he was a freshman in high school, he began to flunk out of school. It was during COVID, and they had them at home. There was no adults at home to make sure that he was doing his schoolwork and this and that and the other. So like many kids, he struggled with that. He didn't have any adult watching over him, making him do things. And he was a kid that was just kind of left to his own devices, and so his grades suffered from that. That's when his mom sent him here to North Carolina to live with me, which I was like, yes, please, give me my son back. I wanted my son back because he was 12 hours away from me in Miami. In Spain, he was in another completely different country. So I was obviously ecstatic just to get my son back with me. But he didn't get up, long story short, he didn't get up till almost 5 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, right? And my wife's telling me this as I'm coming home, and we had chores for him to do. He's supposed to walk the dogs, he's supposed to empty the dishwasher, he's supposed to take the trash out, he's supposed to mow the lawn this week. So, I had a moment there on the way home where I was just like, just trying to like, woosah, breathe, because I was upset with him, and I had a moment where, a stressor like this would typically cause me to use something. Well, guess what? I didn't use anything, and I went home in my completely sober mindset, and I sat my son down, and I said, so why is it that you didn't come out of your room till 5 o'clock today? I said, we have a few, Chrissy and I have plenty to do. We both work every day. We have a baby we're taking care of in the morning. We walk the dogs in the morning so you can sleep in. We feed them. We're the ones that clean the majority of the house. You only have to clean your room and your bathroom. You chose not to go out and get a job as a 17-year-old kid because you wanted your summers off. We told him he didn't have to do that if he didn't want to, because he doesn't have a car at this point. He's the type of kid that would rather just kind of sit at home and chill. So we talked to him, and I told him at the end of it, we don't expect a lot of you. Do you think it's too much? He said no. And I said, I want you out of your room by 12 o'clock every day to do what you need to do with the dogs and taking care of everything else in the household that we ask you to take care of. And he said, yes, sir. I told him I loved him, and I went on about my business. And you know how I felt after I had that interaction with him, sober? Like $1 million, brother. Face those stresses. Face life on life's terms. You don't need something to get through the tough times. You don't need something to get through the tough times. You'll come out strong on the other side if you face it sober. All right. I love you guys very much. Thank you for listening. Subscribe. Let's reach 300 so we can help more people. And I'll see you guys next time. Y'all have a great weekend. All right. Peace.